It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the local Goldsboro Strike Eagles head coach, Phil Santomauro. How are you doing today?
Doing good, man. Brandon, thanks for having me on.
Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get into coaching?
Yeah, I mean, like most people, we either get too old to play ourselves, or like for me, I had my daughter get interested in soccer, so I picked up the coaching with trying to get her into the game, and ended up getting some coaching licenses along the way, and just it drove into a passion, and it's put me where I'm at today.
How did you know that you wanted to get into semi-pro coaching?
So I think my licensing and everything got me to that level. I had coached some, from youth to high school, and then after that, I got an opportunity here with Goldsboro to do it. So it kind of just fell in my lap, and I was like, "This sounds like a great thing to be a part of." And Coach Yakuba was already doing a phenomenal job here with the Goldsboro FC, and I felt like it was the right thing, and I reached out to him, and here I am.
What are some of the similarities and differences between the semi-pro and like the North Carolina Courage that people know in Raleigh?
Yeah, so I think with semi-pro, you think of it from the standpoint of players that are trying to become professionals, that are trying to do it more than just as a hobby, that have more skills than really the local leagues are able to challenge. So semi-pro soccer gives more of a regional opportunity for players to challenge themselves and to grow as players, and potentially get that opportunity at some point to either go to trials for clubs such as North Carolina FC or Greenville, or any of the professional clubs in the local area, and try to get identified, and hopefully pursue full professional time, as playing football and soccer.
What was your coaching time like at Pro Academy in Germany?
Yeah, so Pro Soc Academy out in Germany, they're a German-run company that's out there, and they specifically work with U.S. Players that are out there in Germany, whether they're stationed there in the military or whatnot, and they institute them into the German culture and playing in the local German leagues. So as a part of them, I was able to coach the U.S. Youth Soccer Europe, which is where the coaches coach the American youth over there. And actually got to coach with the Olympic Developmental Program, or ODP Europe, which was awesome. I got to travel around Europe from Italy to Denmark to Luxembourg to Belgium to Germany, coaching soccer with the youth, playing against international partners out there. And it was just a phenomenal growth experience for me as a coach, and to be a part of that with my kids as well as with the youth out in there in Europe was an awesome experience.
What was your time like coaching at Guma Football Academy?
Yeah, so on the island of Guam, they're a nation of soccer. So it's the Guam Football Association. So they're a FIFA recognized organization. So they compete in FIFA World Cup qualifying, Asian Football Confederation tournaments, and that's really where I got introduced into my coaching licenses. I was able to get the Asian Football Confederation C license, as well as my Guam Football Association D. And they just, like, the coaching education on that island is the number one sport on the island in the South Pacific, and got nothing but 3 years of being out there and getting ingrained into soccer. And ultimately at the end of that, I got to spend a brief time coaching their youth at their national academy. And so it was real intense environment to grow my coaching skills, as well as have my kids involved in that program. It was really good out there.
What was your playing experience like playing, and then what was it like having that to coach with?
Yeah, so growing up playing in high school, and then coming into the military, a lot of my time playing was dedicated to military teams, their base teams, and whatnot. And then on the island of Guam, we created our own team and played more in a semi-professional environment there on the island with their local teams that definitely competed in the Asian Football Confederation Cup. They had a lot of players that were on their national team that played in these leagues, and it was very intense. But I dedicated my life to the military versus playing. So it was my playing experience is extremely limited based on that. But definitely got some time to play some really good football throughout my travels around the world for sure.
What was your experience like going as a grad assistant to Ohio State to get your coaching certificate?
Yeah, so currently I'm enrolled with Ohio University in their Masters in Soccer Coaching Education program. I enrolled in that last April, and I'll graduate here in December. Some notable graduates of the program was Vlatko Andonovski, the women's national team head coach, graduated from this program in 2018. So that drew me into the program to get my education with that. And it's been a phenomenal experience from, soccer coaching, psychology to player development, youth development, advanced player development. Right now we're in analysis of sport performance. And working through those things. So it's been an awesome educational experience to work that class and hopefully be graduating in December because it's a lot of work.
How has going through the classes helped you to where you are now with the Goldsboro Strike Eagles?
Yeah, so a lot of the information I've been able to take and apply from periodization planning a full season on how I want the team to develop, what I want to train them on from each 12-week block of time when I want to work on defensive tactics or attacking tactics, and so that's really helped with physical loading, identifying the team talent and recognizing that talent and where it needs to go. To even right now, I've started some loose partnerships with like companies like Beyond Pulse that's going to look at wearable technology to evaluate the players on the field while they're playing, evaluate their work rates, that kind of stuff, which I would have never explored at all if I hadn't gone through this graduate program. So it's a lot of learning and then applying it to what I'm doing with Goldsboro.
What was it like whenever you got the job with the Goldsboro Strike Eagles?
So I'd reached out to Coach Yakuba, knowing I was coming here, and asking if there was a way I could help out with the club. And he said, I got the right thing for you when I sent him my resume. And we had some lengthy discussions and got out on the field, and ultimately me and him both see eye to eye on where the club needs to go and where the players need to develop. And being a part of the First Flight League, I think, is an awesome, way forward with a lot of different clubs with a lot of similar backgrounds that really just want to see their players develop and provide them a club opportunity that'll give them some exposure. And I think we're doing that. And I think the first year for the First Flight League is really coming together very well.
Of course, with this being the first year, what are some of the teams that are in the First Flight League?
Yeah, so we got teams as far as Greensboro, Greenville, Wilmington, a team Union FC is almost near Charlotte. So the regional portion of North Carolina, to the central to east part of North Carolina is well represented in the league and poses some travel opportunities for the team and to get out and challenge some teams that frankly, players in the local area and local adult leagues, they'll see the same teams every single year and rotate, and the challenge doesn't really change. So being able to provide players that experience outside the local area has been really rewarding.
With that being said, with Goldsboro being such a small city and stuff, how important is it to have those teams like in Wilmington? I know Wilmington's only but a few minutes, but sometimes you're like, oh, I've never been to Wilmington, or would love to go to Wilmington.
Yeah, I think it's great for the smaller towns that are local, maybe not have expanded outside of their local area as much, to take these teams and move around the state. Hopefully this thing grows the things regionally where we can go to South Carolina, we go to North Carolina, we go to Virginia, and play some teams that are that are in different leagues than ours and see where we stand against other teams. I think when players don't get that change of experience or a different challenge of seeing other players and how they play, it limits the growth of those players. They don't challenge themselves to do anything different. They kind of just get in their own mindset of how the game should be played. And you can go from one city to another. And I learned this in Germany. You can go from one city to the next and see a totally different style of playing than you see in your current cities or the cities immediately surrounding. Different philosophies. So I think it's really important for players that are trying to pursue the next level, or from semi-pro to pro, to challenge themselves in leagues like this where they get to see a different approach to playing the game.
What was it like for your team to go out to Tennessee for the tournament?
Yeah, the U.S. Amateur Cup was insane. Like, I think that was a huge challenge for us. We went out there, we played, I think the first team we played was from South Carolina, and I think they were actually UPSL Mid-Atlantic Championship, or Mid-Atlantic champions. And we beat them 3-1 in the first night. It was ecstatic. We were beyond over the moon about that, and had learned a lot from the tournament. We didn't progress as far as we would have liked, but everybody gave a lot of heart and sacrificed their time to go out there and see what Goldsboro could do on that more regional stage. And I'm super proud of everybody that went along and participated. Only leaves room for growth, as we go.
What are some of your favorite moments and memories as a coach coaching the Goldsboro Strike Eagles?
Yeah, I think the first one would be playing Olochano. They were a known rival, and that everybody was really excited for that match. And that match went all the way to 90 minutes, fighting back and forth, and we were able to edge that out 2-1. And I just remember, the team fighting every single minute, trying to do that work. And I was very proud of the team in that specific match for sure.
What is a typical game day like for you as a coach and preparing for game day?
Yeah, so going back to my soccer coaching education piece, is that game day preparation doesn't start on Saturday. If it's game day, it starts the week prior, building into match day, right? So you want to know who your opponent is, start prepping your training sessions to build your team to be ready for that opponent when it comes down to it. And then on the game day, making sure everything's just in order and that we're structured and organized as we get out to the pitch. 1 hour prior, the warm up start at a certain time, and everything kind of flows in order as we go to get there. But there's a lot of prep, and I think you talk to any coach that's coached at a higher level, they'll tell you game day starts well in advance of the actual day itself. But yeah, we do a lot of work in prepping the players and making sure they're ready for their opponents and coming out ready to do some work.
Of course, as a coach, do you have any game day rituals that you do yourself?
Nothing real ritualistic. I just have to be out there earlier than everybody else, just to be on the pitch and to see everything kind of come into fruition. Talk to every player as they show up, look them in the eye, make sure they're good, answer any questions the players may have, and make sure just I'm there for them, because really the game is about them. It's not about me on a Saturday. My time is at training sessions where I'm driving home principles and things I want them to do. But when I show up out on a Saturday, it's really to make sure they're good and give them the opportunity out on the pitch to demonstrate that they've learned and grown, and demonstrate some growth as players, and they're able to just do what they need to do. And if I'm barking anything from the sidelines, it's really just to remind them of what we're trying to do and motivate them to reach the goal, which is to ultimately outscore the opponent, right? So, yeah.
What is something that you learn now that you didn't know before getting into coaching?
A lot, actually. I think anybody that's been in my shoes, that's coached their kid, starts coaching and they I know everything. I know absolutely everything about soccer, and I'm a great coach. And then you take your first coaching license course and you realize that you probably were ruining these kids. So they teach you all the concepts and everything that you should be teaching, and realize that you're not doing the things the right way. So I think that was a big eye-opening moment for me, was how to coach, not the fact of just doing it and knowing about the game, but how to teach. Really, it's all about teaching. When you look at it from a coaching perspective, am I a good teacher, and can I teach these concepts to these players and watch them grow and develop in the game? And you learn that it's not about you as a coach or your win or loss record. It's how the players respond to you. Do they grow? Do they get better? And at the end of the season, are they better players than when they started at the beginning of the season? And if you can answer that question, it doesn't matter about trophies. It doesn't matter about win and loss records, but the fact that they're better off for coming by you as a coach, then you've been successful 100%.
Of course, for my listeners that may not know, where the Goldsboro Strike Eagles play at during their home games?
Yes, we play at Bryan Park in Goldsboro, North Carolina. So it's, if anybody was looking up where those matches were, you just type it into any map quest for Bryan Sports Complex, and it'll come up right here in Goldsboro, North Carolina.
What are some of your future plans as the coach for the Goldsboro Strike Eagles?
Yeah, I'd like to see the program continue to develop, create more relationships with other professional clubs like North Carolina FC or USL 1 or 2 League One type clubs, to where we can get some of our players looked at as in trials or anything like that, to see if we can develop players out of the local leagues that we have here, not necessarily local leagues, but even leagues like FFL or UPSL, and get them identified and playing in higher leagues. I can think of easily 2 or 3 players on my team that could play at a higher level, but we need to build that connection as a club and as an organization with these other organizations, so we can create that pathway for the players to maybe make that bridge, make that jump into not semi-professional but professional lanes.
What advice would you give somebody looking to coach on the professional level?
Focus on licensing. I know people don't really, like, oh, well, I just go get a license. You can't tell me, how to coach or well, I've been doing it forever. But there's something to be said about having the education behind that, whether it's a college education or whether it's U.S. Soccer Federation licensing. United Soccer Coaches has diploma courses. I think you have to get the knowledge to kind of have that backing, and when you're trying to pursue semi-professional, professional, college coaching, even high school level, is to kind of have that background of education, in there that you need to appropriately coach people at the level that you're going to coach.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media, along with the Goldsboro Strike Eagles at?
Gosh, I don't even know my actual social media stuff. That's a tough question. I'm sure you could probably post that at the back end, but as a coach, I'm on Twitter and Twitter and Instagram, both Philip.Santomauro, I believe that's out there, or Santomauro Phil, for that. And then also Goldsboro Strike Eagles are both on those social media platforms as well, along with the First Flight League. So any of those on there would be a spot if anybody wanted to reach out to me directly or track what Goldsboro Strike Eagles are doing in the First Flight League.
Thank you again, Coach Santomauro, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with the Goldsboro Strike Eagles as the head coach.
All right, Brandon. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Phil, for your interview, and best of luck.
All right.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.